Hey everyone, it's your girl Charnel, aka ohsolimitless. Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought it'd be cool to share the tea behind my first ever counseling experience. For my first ever therapist experience, I was a school counselor at a college. And when I was in my first year of university, I was still really young. I literally just got out of my undergrad, and I was like, you know what, this is going to be cool because I'm still relatively close in age to these individuals. I'll be able to support them from a different perspective and really be able to connect with them. And I just thought being in a school setting was the vibe at that time. And boy, was I in for a surprise. So I thought it'd be cool for me to share the tea with y'all. And I'm just interested to know if these are the similar experiences you guys have had, or if these are the same thoughts and feelings that you may have had in your experiences as well. So without further ado, if you're new to my channel, welcome. Make sure you click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Also, if you would like to make sure you get notified whenever I drop a video, make sure you click the notification bell. Let's get into the video. All right, so as I mentioned, my first ever experience as a therapist was working as a school counselor at a college. When I was in my first year of my master's program, I had to apply to do an internship, and there were options like private practices, working in public sectors, working in school settings, and I only applied to work at colleges and universities because that's what I was really interested in doing at the time. And so I applied. I fortunately was able to land a position at a college, and the first day I was there, they threw me in with wolves. Like, they literally threw me in and said, hey, this is your office and this is what you'll be doing. And so literally, they gave me a template about how to do my case notes. They gave me a tour of the office. They introduced me to everyone. And then literally the next day I was seeing students, and my caseload was full. I worked at this placement for 8 months, and my caseload was full from the beginning to the end. So let me tell you about some of the reasons why I wanted to be a school counselor. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, so yeah, I am close in age to these individuals. I feel like we'll be able to relate more. And the perks about being a school counselor in a college is that because students are off during the summer months and winter months because of holidays and all that good stuff, I would also get that time off. So I was like, oh my God, this is dope. And then in addition to that, you always get a price increase up to a certain cap, and school counselors relatively make a decent amount. I feel like you can make 6 figures after, I feel like, being 10 years or 7 years in the game, something along those lines. So I was just like, this is a great opportunity. If I just want to work, be a counselor, not have my own business, this is the route that I want to go. And so I was like, let me get the experience at a school setting from now so I know what to expect. Okay, as I mentioned, first day I was kind of thrown into the wolves. I saw many students from different age groups, which I was not expecting at all. So I saw students that were the age of 17, again, who just graduated from high school, was entering into college. And I saw individuals who were like 65, 66, 67, because they were going into their second career. And that's actually a program at the college that I was at. They had second career options to support individuals with whoever got laid off. There were government subsidies, and they paid for them to go to school and get into another field so they could also be employed. So I worked with a whole variety of individuals that I didn't necessarily anticipate going into this situation. So a lot of the feedback that I got at that time was, oh my God, you look so young. Are you sure you're a therapist? Or how are you able to help me? Because it doesn't really look like you've had much experience. Or I don't actually want to work with you because you look really young. Or oh my God, I wanted to make sure that I saw you because you're a Black girl and I feel like I can't connect with anybody else here. Or oh my gosh, you look so nice, so I thought it'd be helpful. Or oh my gosh, you're the only female here. I'm so happy there's a female counselor. I would love to speak to you. So I got a lot of, I don't know if it was negative. It was just a lot of preferences people shared with me about why they wanted to see me and why they didn't want to see me. And so based on their preferences, again, at a school setting, anyone who comes into the room, if you're a available counselor, you're the one that gets them. So clients didn't necessarily have a choice unless they were adamant about not seeing you. And I also did not have a choice about who I was going to see and who I was not going to take on. So anybody, regardless of the issue, if you were experiencing anxiety, if you're going through a specific type of trauma like a car accident, if you were super paranoid, whatever the situation was, I would be able to see you regardless of the situation. Okay. So that was another thing that was super overwhelming for me. Again, as my first internship or counseling experience, I was just thrown in with so many different aspects of people's lives. And growing up, I would like to say, like, I experienced a lot, like in terms of like me getting to be part of teams, me being able to, I really lived my life like a kid, okay? And my parents were sheltered me a lot. So when I got into that therapy room and I heard some of the experiences that my clients shared with me, it literally was just so heavy for me, like so heavy. I would take so many things home. I found it difficult to put up boundaries because I was experiencing imposter syndrome, and so I thought I had to just give my clients everything that they wanted. Like, it was just really, really hard for me to separate what I was doing at my internship from my own life. Even though I didn't go through a lot of the experience that people shared with me, I was just like, wow, like I can't believe someone who is literally the same age as myself has experienced this whole life. Like, I couldn't imagine what my life would be like if that was me. And like, there was just so many overwhelming thoughts that I felt, and I was just like, how can I even help this person? Like, I don't know what they're going through. I've never been through this. And to be honest, I didn't necessarily felt like I was as equipped educational wise at that time to support all of the different scenarios that I was experiencing at that one time. And in addition to that, although I did have a clinical supervisor who was another counselor at the same college that I was at, I only got to see him like once a week, and I was at this school working 3 days a week, 8 hours a day. So on average, I was seeing clients 21 hours per week, and I only had 1 hour of supervision. Bro, that was not enough at all for me. And so it was very overwhelming. And it was just a lot. But let me just try and keep in track, and I will get back to how I felt about this overall experience at the end. So in addition to counseling, I also had the opportunity of creating educational workshops to support students. I absolutely love this aspect of my role. So I worked closely with my clinical supervisor at the time, who, again, as I mentioned, was a counselor at the school as well. And so we worked together to create an educational workshop to support the students around exam time, to support them with managing symptoms of stress, and to support them with managing symptoms of anxiety that, of course, a lot of students experience when they're doing their exams. And so that was so much fun. We got to do it both terms. And in addition to that, we got to bring in therapy dogs. That was my first time ever learning about therapy dogs, and students got to pet them. And it was just like a lot of fun creating that. And it was a great break from my daily role that I was doing as a therapist. In addition to that, I also had to work closely sometimes, not often, but I worked closely with a counselor that was also in the office who worked with individuals who came into the school and enrolled in the school with a learning disability. And so learning disabilities ranged from severe learning disability to like minor learning disability, where they just needed like accommodations around the time that they could spend on writing an exam, for example. And so I worked closely with those individuals. If my client specifically had a learning disability, we would come up with a plan together to best support the client. Sometimes I had to work with their profs and the academic advisors to ensure that we had a wraparound service for that student so they would be able to be successful in the school. And I really love the aspect of collaboration in that setting. I didn't necessarily love the aspect of collaboration in further experiences that I had down the line, which I may share, but in the school setting, I absolutely loved it. And I thought it was very important for myself as a therapist. Like, sometimes students would come up to me and they'd ask questions about, hey, where can I go to get government assistance regarding certain aspects? Where can I go to get grants? And so they asked certain questions, and it was important for me, especially as a new therapist. I really wanted to help the best that I can. Of course, I still do today, but it was important for me to know the resources in that area so that I could connect my clients to these resources so they felt best supported in other areas of their life as well. And so I think that's important for us as therapists as well, to be familiar with the resources that are available so that we're able to provide that information to our clients when they're in need of that information. So anyways, as my career went on, or as my internship went on, of course, I was able to add more services to my knowledge base because more questions came through. I was like, okay, I could look for this, I could add this to my database, and I became more resourceful over time. However, the belief that I had in myself slowly trickled away. And the reason is because I was just feeling so overwhelmed with all of the different experiences that I was hearing, with all the different cases that I was treating, with even just my own overwhelming feelings of like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Or oh my gosh, this is so much for me to take on. Or oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened to my client. Like, there's just so many overwhelming feelings. There's feelings of doubt. There's feelings of me not being sure about what I'm doing. Also, just feelings of like, I have to continue to learn more information. I'm still in school. I'm still taking classes. I have to study. So it was just very overwhelming, to be completely honest. But I was able to push through. At the end of it, a lot of clients did give me positive feedback. They were grateful for the opportunity to work with me. And again, because I was like a young person, because I looked familiar to a lot of the students who attended the school, more familiar than the other counselors that were there, or more relatable, they had a positive experience. And so I did just want to put this in this video, just recognizing that even though sometimes we might doubt ourselves, the rapport that there's actually research that shows that the rapport that us therapists that we have with our clients is conducive to supporting them with effective change in therapy. So I don't ever want you guys to not believe in what it is that the services that you're providing based on you not necessarily having all the answers. The therapeutic rapport is super important in the progress that clients make as well. And so I think that's important for you to focus on building that therapeutic building that therapeutic rapport, because it will not only make you feel more comfortable and confident in that space, but it also makes the client more comfortable and confident in that space as well. Okay, that's a side note. But anyways, if you see me looking down again, I am referencing my phone because I want to make sure I touch on certain points in this video. As I mentioned earlier in the video, it was very hard for me as a student, as an intern, to not necessarily take home what it was that my client was experiencing. And so if my client was really worried about something, I found that I would come home and I'd feel really tense and worried. If my client mentioned something around wanting to harm themselves, that was something that I would like not be able to sleep. I would be awake all the time. I'd be worried all the time, because I'm just like, oh my God, did I make sure that I did all the things that I was supposed to do? And again, because I had such imposter syndrome, I was never really fully confident about my abilities. And I used my supervisor as much as I could. But again, because I had a full caseload, he had a full caseload, the other counselors had full caseloads, it was hard sometimes to connect to best support them. However, of course, there were things put in place that if I did have an issue, I could always go and knock on my supervisor's door, even if he was in a session, or at the end of the day, there was a wrap up. And if there was something very important that I had to let him know, that I had to make sure of course, before leaving at the end of the day, I would give him that update or let him know. But it was still hard for me to be able to just leave things once I closed that door and leave things there. And so that was a skill that I had to develop and learn over time throughout the years of being a therapist. But I'm telling you, in that first experience, it felt like nearly impossible to separate myself from my clients and what they were experiencing. Now let's get into the pros and cons of being a school counselor. So to start off with the pros, I thought that it was so cool to be part of the school spirit, still be involved with student life, and just be involved in so many different aspects. You could work running groups, you could work doing assessments, you can work working one-on-one. And so there are just so many options to do working as a school counselor. In addition to that, if you're an individual that likes to have your day look very different every single day, you can accept walk-ins, you can again accept people that are already booked in. And so you can work with so many different niches, people from so many different walks of life. Again, as I mentioned, you're working with individuals who just came out of high school, you're working with individuals who took a few years off or a lot of years off because they were growing a family and then they came in and decided to start school now, or there's people that are doing their second careers, and so there are older adults that you're also working with. So you interact with people from so many different walks of life and who also need support support from so many different lenses. And so if you like to have your day mixed up quite a bit, not necessarily engage with the same kind of situation every single day, then school counseling might be an opportunity for you. Again, especially given that you get summers off, you get winters off, and you also get a pay increase up until a certain point. Those are all benefits of being in a school setting as a school counselor. And this is specifically for college where I'm from. I'm not necessarily sure if that's how it is in all states and provinces, but where I'm specifically from, those are some of the benefits that come with that role. Now, in terms of the cons, I personally feel like working with so many different niches is just overwhelming. Regardless of the amount of years that I've had, the amount of experience and knowledge that I have now as a therapist, I still find it overwhelming having to focus on multiple different presenting issues that client may come to our sessions with. And so if I'm not focusing on one niche, which is nearly impossible to do as a school counselor, then it's going to be overwhelming. Like, you're spreading yourself thin, having to learn knowledge about different areas of life, and then you never really become an expert in one area. And that's up to you. That's just a con for me. Not everyone feels that's a con, but for me, that's one of those things where it's like, no, I'd rather be an expert in like one or two things versus having a bit of information or knowledge in so many different spaces. Another con that I found being in the school setting was that you are fairly limited in some services that you can offer, or to an extent of what you can help clients. And that is because the school's funding, whatever they're able to provide you towards counseling, and also just around just regular laws that certain companies have set in place. Every school is very different. Every school has a different perspective of what counseling is like and what you can do as a therapist or counselor within that setting. But I feel like there was somewhat of a limitation based on the bureaucracy of school settings that can be challenging depending on your passion level as a therapist. And I feel like those are the only things that come to mind in terms of my pros and cons at this moment. If you guys have any questions, comment below, let me know. But I honestly was so hell-bent on being a school counselor, and after having that experience, I think it really shifted my perspective for me. Now, there is a show on Netflix called Last Chance U, and there is this female therapist who works specifically with athletes. And I feel like, again, if I were to go back into a school setting, which I don't think I will because I love being in private practice, but if I were ever to go back into a school setting, I feel like I would want to specialize with a specific demographic. And again, although I'm working with a specific demographic, there can be different presenting issues. I feel like just being like a counselor for athletes specifically would just be so dope. But again, I think it would be just in a school setting that I would feel that experience is dope. But anyways, comment below and let me know what your ideal therapist job would be. What demographic would you like to work in? What space or setting would you like to work in? And yeah, I would love to know, because I feel like for me throughout my career that has changed depending on the experiences that I've had. So if you're interested in being in private practice, if you're interested in being a school counselor, if you're interested in being in the hospital, comment below and let me know. Otherwise, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss an upload. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.